welcome in again. It is 12 o'clock. Welcome everybody and welcome to all of our guests today. On behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club Board of Directors, I call to order the 24th meeting of the 61st year of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club. Our invocation today will be, and our Pledge of Allegiance, which follows, will be given by Father Benson from St. Michael's Catholic Church.
My dear friends, let us bow in prayer. Almighty God, our Creator, whose blessing reaches the ends of the earth, we bless and praise your holy name. We thank you for your love. We thank you for the goodness and your blessings upon us. Confirm us in our common faith and believe in you as the creator of mankind, that we may walk together with you and with one another. As we gather for this afternoon, we pray you to bless us, bless our community, bless our country, bless our leaders. May this gathering implant in us, your beloved sons and daughters, the true meaning of your love and your kindness. Bless, guide, and control all our words and actions. And bless also the food and the drink set before us. May we draw nourishment of body and soul for the greater glory of your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got a few announcements this morning, and I want to go through those. First of all, let's introduce the folks here at the head table, as you just heard from Father Benson from St. Michael's Catholic Church. Father. Vice President of our club, Dennis Manzel. And before I introduce these folks, I want to introduce some folks that are here on their behalf in the audience today. Erica's dad, Fred, is here. Fred, where are you at? Welcome. Your brother Steve. Uncle Ted. And father-in-law Gary. I didn't know you were related to him. All right. Obviously, at the far end is our advisor to the board and longtime board member and friend, Michaelina. Erica's husband, Steve. And you'll meet both the next two, Erica Muhleman and Bridget Kakos. Welcome. Also want to recognize our club sponsors, which you'll see on the boards behind me. Liberty Ford, Aultcare's Primetime Health Plan, Wilkshire Golf Course, Marion Motley Memorial Fund Scholarship, and Dr. Peter Ferguson Chiropractic. Thank you. Some good news. Just got some news on our new member count and renewals for this year. And happy to say that we have 75 new members this year. That is the most since the 2014-2015 season. So thank you so much for all of you that have joined, and we hope to continue to grow the club. And we had 331 renewals, which is great as well. So we keep you coming. Thanks. All of the club updates will be on Facebook for the rest of the year. I know RJ's been real busy with the swim meets and things like that, so make sure you check, just in case we don't get the word out. Facebook will have all the updates for the club if there's anything, any kind of announcements or anything like that, but we hope that you'll check that on a regular basis. We are continuing to sell tickets for the next meeting at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is going to be March 18th. We will sell them afterwards, and our speaker obviously that day is Bernie Kosar. March Madness squares, as I mentioned earlier, are still available. We still have, I think, around 20 or so to sell. So make sure if you want to be a part of that, you buy those. Our condolences go out to the family of Chris Mortensen. If you guys remember, Chris Mortensen from ESPN passed away this weekend. 2016 Pro Football Hall of Fame Dick McCann Award winner for his work. And Mort was a friend of the Hall and certainly came back every year for the enshrinement. I want to congratulate Marlington, the Dukes. They won the Ohio High School Track and Field Coaches Association State Championship. It was an indoor event. I think it was indoor. Right, yeah. So congratulations to Marlington. And a couple other things, or one other thing, obviously. How many of you watched the Ohio State-Iowa game, women's basketball, yesterday? Congratulations to Caitlin Clark. I mean, my goodness, she is everything that is good about NCAA basketball, especially women's basketball. All-time leading scorer in NCAA history. Big Ten career assist leader, and NCAA women's single-season three-point record. So she's got a lot of records, and I tell you what, yesterday, you couldn't look at her cross-eyed or else you'd get a technical. Not that she needed any more help to get to the free throw line, but 6 of her points were free throws because of technicals. I said something to my dog and got called for a technical. I didn't agree with one of the calls. But no, she's fantastic, and congratulations to her. I know they beat our Buckeyes, but I don't think we stood a chance going into Iowa City yesterday and winning that. So, anyways, get your raffle tickets out. We've got $144, and Ozzy will have the money. We'll have Bridget pull the number.
I knocked that over.
Give me the first two.
You don't want to mess this up ever again. 069 006. Right up, right. Ozzy, right here. 069-006, right? Okay. While Ozzy delivers the cash, I want to remind you all that next week, our speaker will be Ken Carman. The Ken Carman Show, if you watch Channel Fox 8 News, he's a sports anchor for the evening newscast. Started there in 2022. He's a Perry High School grad and University of Akron graduate. He is a veteran play-by-play commentator, broadcasting area college sports, and Akron Arrows baseball on radio and television. He also spent time as a sports reporter covering the Cavs, the Browns, the Indians, Buckeyes, the MAC, some NASCAR, and the PGA. So he'll be here next week, and I believe Scott Campbell is going to introduce Ken, they were classmates, I believe, at Perry. Okay, now it's time to introduce the gentleman who will introduce our speakers today. Please welcome the Vice President of Organizational Development and Community Engagement for both Aultcare and Aultman, and Special Advisor, obviously here to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Luncheon Club Board, Mike Galina.
Thank you, Frank. Father Benson, thank you for blessing us and challenging us. I always like to come right out of the gate and say it's a special place when we can honor our country and have a prayer. And And to put those two things together, to share time with one another, it's unique. And we should never run past the opportunity to be blessed and challenged, for sure. Speaking of challenge, Frank, thank you and RJ for all that you're doing, putting together our great run of speakers. Today is just going to be a blessing, but how about us as we turn the page to March, the year that we've had so far. So let's give a round of applause, Frank, RJ. Thank you, Frank. So I thought about how to spend a little time to introduce two power women in the NFL. Well, I thought I'd open with a story that'll set the stage for you, put a grin on your face, and then move right into how special it is that we have the two great ladies that we're going to hear from today. So here's the story that'll let you know about reading the right signs and traveling the right speed, which is what they've had to do in their careers. So the story has a highway patrolman who typically has his beat every single day, same road. And so he's sitting in his usual spot, he's got his radar gun out, and he takes a look down the road, just testing it. And he sees this car and he hits his beam or the laser on it, and it shows 22 miles an hour. And he's saying to himself, so the car continues to come, uses a laser again, 22 miles an hour. He's saying, hey, I gotta pull him over. Going too slow is sometimes worse than going too fast. So, car takes a little while to get to him. He hits the blue lights, doesn't take long to pull him over because 22 miles an hour. Slides in behind. He walks up to the car, knocks on the window, comes down. He looks in. 4 women aged 75 or older, sitting two front to the back. And he says to the driver, do you know how fast you were going? He said, absolutely, sir, 22 miles an hour. And he said, that's exactly right. He said, but you know you can go 55. She said, oh no, I was just going what the sign said back down the way. It said 22. So he leaned out and looked. He said, ma'am, that's the highway number you're on. You're on highway 22. You can go 55. So she apologizes very quickly. And he says, well, before I leave, we got that straight. But the other 3 in this car have not moved, and they look a little sick. Are they going to be okay before I leave you? She looked over her shoulder and said, they're going to be just fine. We just got off highway number 95. You gotta love the idea of travel the right speed, read the right signs. So ladies, I know in your careers you've had to adjust. So as we think about that story today, let's remember the blessing that what we're going to hear from them is a real good connection to all of us to say, how are we doing with our life speed? And are we reading the right signs? And certainly we're going to hear a lot about the Cleveland Browns background. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to give you a little background about both. Then Erica will come up, spend a little time, and get Bridget there as well. So let's take care of Bridget Kakos first. Originally from Youngstown, Ohio, Cardinal Mooney grad. Always good to ground you where you are. Graduated from the University of Mount Union in 2002 with a BA in sports management. Fellow alum, Bridget, 1982. Been with the Browns since 2004. So just take a moment and get your head around that. In professional sports, that's hard to do. And to be with one team since 2004. First position, coordinator of the Browns backers worldwide. Communication plans, event programming. How many have heard of the Browns backers before? There you go. There may be members, Bridget. I don't know. But they at least know. 2008, she moved into a different position. Client and member services manager within the corporate sponsorship division. Managed relationships with over 25 corporate partners at that time. So look at her trajectory. Then 2014, promoted to Director of Partnership Activation, which simply means we want to get folks involved with our Browns. You see the team on the field, but how do we manage the business backside to fuel the organization? Big job there. Director of Partnership Activation in that role. Then 2021, promoted to Senior Director of Corporate Partnerships. Oversees the management of all corporate sponsorships, which now approximately 130 corporations. So think about the busyness of just staying connected. Think relationships, think leadership for sure, and to do that with 130 groups. In addition to her work with the Browns, she sits on the Sports Business Advisory Board at Mount Union. She and her husband Steve reside in Olmsted Township and have a daughter Catherine and son Connor. So before Bridget gets up here, let's give her a round of applause. And 2 front office women, this is the best, both from the Browns today. Different journeys, different pathways to get there though. Heard Bridget's Mount Union to the Browns, and she's been there. What we're going to hear about Erica is cool, and some of you, raise your hand if you remember Erica being here before. Yeah, it's awesome. Certainly Dad and Ted are excited to have her back, family as well. But it's really neat to almost reflect back on her journey as we learn more about what she's doing currently. So originally from Louisville, so again, very close to us, graduated from OU with a BA in psychology and then a Master's of Consumer Industrial Research from Cleveland State University, MBA. Here's her leadership journey. 1999, when the Browns came back, Erica was in the front office. Pretty cool. Then managed the marketing services for the Browns on the back end of that. And then she worked with a group called IMG, what's called International Management Group. Big promotion of sports and activities. Global sports, media company, client services with that world. So golf, tennis, the NBA. Just picture her managing that type of interaction on a daily basis. Then moved on to the Buffalo Bills. VP of Corporate Partnerships with the Bills, and then moved into the Executive VP with Pagula Sports. 250 partners that she managed there. Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres, venues in all the Buffalo area. So think again, program and activities. Then moved into the Executive VP of New Business Development, Marketing, Sales with the Hall of Fame Resort and International Company. Then, we remember her last, Chief Revenue Officer and Senior VP of all the team services for the XFL. So she was in charge of 8 different cities at that point, managing the business. And now she's the Senior VP of Corporate Partnership for the Browns, where she oversees every aspect of corporate sponsorships. So just think of the journey that she's been on, and we're so glad that she's one of us. She and her husband Steve, who's down here to your far right, my far left, live here in Jackson Township, and I want you to remember this name, Carter. Carter Muhleman. Jackson Polar Bears. Federal League, just pay attention. He's going to show up. He's that good. So I'm just planting a little seed, no pressure on Mom and Dad, but he's going to be a good one. So I share all that to say, let's do this today. It's a blessing outside. The sunshine is great, but we have sunshine in this room with these 2 great leaders. And let's give Erica a round of applause to get up here, and then we're going to catch up with the rest of the stuff.
I said it last year, I'll say it again, he is a really tough act to follow from an introduction standpoint, but thank you, Mike, for the very kind words about all of us, so we really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. I am honored to be back here again, so I really appreciate the invitation to come back. When I spoke last year, I had focused on my career journey and really focused on my current role at the time, as Mike had said, working for the XFL as the Chief Revenue Officer. And I had said last year that the goal of the XFL was really to give players the opportunity either to make it into the NFL or to make it back to the NFL. We had quite a few guys that had already played in the NFL for a brief period. Well, I am certainly not a player, but I am thrilled to say that the XFL also helped me get back into the NFL. Back to the Cleveland Browns, where I got my start in sports, and really to the team I have loved the most growing up from an NFL standpoint, the Cleveland Browns. So while I was not actively looking to leave the XFL, when I got the call about the opportunity to interview for the position that I have now, I jumped at the chance. One, to work for the Haslam family and knowing their strong reputation in the NFL as really great owners. But also, as Mike had alluded to, I had come from an environment where in Buffalo, the Pagulas had owned multiple teams. And if you're not familiar, the Haslams own more than just the Cleveland Browns. They own the Columbus Crew, which is the soccer team in Columbus, and the MLS Cup champions. They won it last year, so a lot of success in Columbus. And they also have part ownership of the Milwaukee Bucks. So for me, I knew what a special opportunity it was to come back to the Browns, but also get involved in some of the other teams that the Haslams owned. So very exciting. It is really a dream come true for me to be back with the Browns. But just to kind of put a bow on the XFL, when I talked here last year, we were a couple months out from the season kicking off, and I think I had mentioned we had a lot to do, and there was a lot of nervousness around are we going to be able to get it done. Happy to report it was an incredible first inaugural season. We wanted to have competitive football, and if any of you watched any of the games, we checked that box. We had some really strong players, some strong teams. The Arlington Renegades won the championship. We had strong former NFLers like A.J. McCarron, who was the quarterback for the St. Louis team. He's looking to also come back. So some really high-profile guys playing, some strong football, We had strong TV ratings. You know, some of the games were shown on ABC, they were shown on ESPN. We were hoping people would tune in. We checked that box as well. And we started on the business side to build a strong corporate partnership base. Mike talked about the importance of corporate partnerships. Bridget and I will talk about that in greater detail. We had some strong partners like Under Armour, like Progressive Insurance, really strong brands that believed in the XFL. Fast forward to now, if you have not followed what is going on with the XFL and the USFL, they have merged together. It's really challenging to run two independent spring football leagues. And while it does impact here in Canton, because the USFL had played their Pittsburgh and their Michigan teams, played games here at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, that's not going to happen anymore. The XFL and the USFL have merged to become the UFL, the United Football League. They took teams from each, came together. Their season's going to be kicking off at the end of March. Personally, I feel it is the right move for those two leagues to merge. Fox owned USFL, there's strong backing there. The XFL is still owned by the same leadership group, including Dwayne Johnson. So I think they're poised for great success with one merged league, and hopefully you will all tune in. I still know a lot of people that work at the XFL, strong business people, strong football people. I think they're going to have a lot of success this year. But enough about the past. Let's focus on our beloved Cleveland Browns. I will tell you, 2023 was an incredible year. I think we can all attest to that. I just wanted to provide you some highlights. I'm sure most of you know some of this, but some of the stuff that we went through in 2023 with the Cleveland Browns. First, we made the playoffs, an incredible feat. If you watched the games, you followed, we had a lot of injuries, starting almost at the beginning of the season with Nick Chubb. So Bridget and I can attest, this team never gave up. The mantra in the locker room, starting with Coach Stefanski, go 1-0 each week. Just focus on the game at hand, don't get ahead of yourselves, go 1-0 each week. And they really embraced that mindset. While we didn't go as far enough as we had hoped in the playoffs, I think you get a healthy roster, we have a lot of depth. The sky's the limit in 2024. I think this team is poised to go a long way this upcoming year. Another major accomplishment, not sure if you all know, we went 8-1 at home. An incredible home record. Hopefully some of you were there. We were second in the NFL with our home record. Does anyone know who was number one with the best home record? I hear some Chiefs, I hear the Dallas Cowboys. They went 8-0 at home. They had one less home game than we did with the 17-game schedule. You now play uneven number of home and away games. It just depends on the year. But we were 8-1, an incredible home record. And I will tell you, and Coach talked about it, the fan base contributed to some of our last-minute wins, which was crazy for all of us. It was like cardiac kids again, but an incredible record at home. We were the #1 defense in the entire NFL, based on stats that the NFL looks at, largely led by Myles Garrett. So an incredible accomplishment to have that #1 defense. From an awards perspective, the league has come out with, it's called NFL Honors. I'm sure some of you have watched the show several years ago, where there are different awards, different nominations. We were nominated for 4 awards. The Cleveland Browns won all 4 awards. We won Head Coach of the Year in Coach Stefanski, Assistant Coach of the Year in Jim Schwartz, Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, and Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Flacco. We cannot say enough about Joe Flacco and just what he brought to the team when he came in, what he did. I mean, we would see him in our cafeteria on breakfast on a player's day off, just sitting by himself having breakfast. Like, just an incredibly committed guy, and really brought a lot of positive energy to the team and helped bring them into the playoffs. So 4 for 4, not bad for the Cleveland Browns to win, and hopefully we'll be nominated and win more next year. In addition to kind of the football side and all the awards that I just talked about, 2023 we honored the legacy of Jim Brown, not just during the Hall of Fame with some special programming. We also honored him during our home opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. We also celebrated Joe Thomas, his induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is still very active with the Browns organization, such a great representative, and it was pretty special to celebrate at halftime of our Ravens game, him getting inducted. We also saw tremendous success on the business side. Bridget will get into it a little bit more from a sponsorship activation standpoint, but one that I will just highlight, if you didn't know, we have a dog fan club with the Cleveland Browns called the Barking Backers. If you have any pets and you haven't signed up yet, we encourage it. Milkbone is our sponsor. Milkbone is owned by Smuckers, so in Orrville, Ohio, local company. They were the sponsor of it. We surpassed 20,000 members. Dogs only, first of its kind fan club. So we can get you more information on signing up if you would like it. So incredible success all around, and I think we are poised for even greater success as we go into 2024. But from a business standpoint, I thought I would share how strong is the NFL as a league in and of itself. I think we all know it truly is a powerhouse, but how does it compare to other sports, other leagues in this country? The NFL averages in 2023 18 million viewers per broadcast game. Not just Browns game, that's any game, averaged 18 million, up from 16.5 in 2022. It grew its viewership 1.5 million year over year. Now, some would say it's the Taylor Swift effect. That did have something to do with it. Because what that did was brought a younger female demographic who typically didn't watch NFL games to start watching in hopes of seeing Taylor Swift. But incredible numbers when you think about 18 million per game. The next closest league or sport, the NCAA, with 3.4. Incredible numbers when you think about how powerful the NFL is in this country. Super Bowl, the most watched telecast this past Super Bowl, Chiefs 49ers, ever on TV. Over 123 million people watched it the entire game. Incredible numbers, incredible stats. And probably the most compelling stat to me personally when I hear this, in 2023, of the top 100 shows that were on TV, 93 of them were NFL games. 93 of the top 100 were NFL broadcasts. Not just sports. In those 7, you had the Grammys, you had the Oscars, you had an NBA Finals in there. Again, the power of the NFL is just beyond any sport in this country. How powerful are the Browns compared to our 31 others in the league? There's 32 teams in the league. I'll give you some stats, and this is going up against the New Yorks, the LA, teams like that. We have about 315 Browns backers chapters. Bridget helped grow it way back in the day. 315 around the world and growing. These are chapters that celebrate Browns Sundays when the games are on and really build the fandom. And we are continuing to grow those chapters. It's one of the largest fan clubs in all of sports. So 315, incredible number. We rank in the top 10 in a couple different areas across all 32 teams. We're in the top 3 in radio broadcast listenership. The top 3 of 32 are listening to our game broadcast on the radio. Local TV ratings, we're in the top 10 of all TVs that are turned on in this area are turned on to Browns games, in the top 10 of 32 in the league. And in social media, between our Browns different channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, we rank in the top 10 in content. What does that mean? That means our Browns fans love to see what we're putting out there. They love to engage in our content. Really strong numbers that we get compared to other teams around the league as we're competing against the New Yorks and the LAs. Just shows the strength of this fan base. So really strong numbers in 2023. What is in the future? What do we have planned for 2024? I can tell you we have a lot. It may be the off season, but we have not slowed down. Some things that we have priority-wise coming up in 2024. Naming rights. Cleveland Browns Stadium went back to the name Cleveland Browns Stadium. We were First Energy Stadium for a few years. It is no secret that we are looking for the right brand to name the stadium. Why is that important? It's important to continue to generate local revenue to stay competitive with the 31 other teams. We have hired an agency that's going to help us do that. We want to find the right brand, just not any. It's a pretty unique opportunity. There are only 28 NFL stadiums that can have a corporate name on it. Does anyone know the 2 stadiums that, at least right now, are not selling the naming rights to the stadium?
Chiefs.
Not Chiefs. Green Bay is one. Lambeau Field. Chicago Bears, Soldier Field. Those are the only 2 to come up to the number of 32. There are 2 stadiums that have 2 teams each. The Rams and the Chargers have SoFi Stadium, and the Jets and the Giants have MetLife Stadium. So naming rights conversation is something that occupies mine and Bridget's day, multiple times a day, day in and day out. It is a priority, starting with ownership. Berea. If you have not been to Berea, it is basically our corporate headquarters. On the business side, on the football side, it's where the team practices. It's where ownership has their offices. We are there day in and day out. We do have some Brown staff that are at the stadium. Those are more stadium operations. but we are looking to double the footprint size of our Berea facility. We are going through an expansion of the weight room now for football needs, but we are looking to, similar to what Hall of Fame did, we've acquired some houses in the nearby area just to expand the footprint, offer some community engagement that I think is going to benefit the city of Berea and beyond, and really try to maximize the footprint of the city of Berea. We're going to start construction on the expansion later this year. We're almost done acquiring the houses. I think there's just 1 or 2 left, but that will be a priority for 2024, the expansion in Berea. Stadium, this is a topic that came out specifically during Super Bowl week, when I think the media had reported ownership was looking at land in Brook Park for a potential new stadium. I will say a few things on this. You know, we still have several years left to go on the stadium lease. So we are currently in the stadium lease at Cleveland Browns Stadium. I will say this, when I started in 1999, the stadium was brand new and it was wonderful and it was beautiful. 25 years on Lake Erie takes a toll from a weather standpoint, from a beating. It needs some work done. It needs some renovation. But we also look at what is best for the fan experience. Where are you going to park on game day? What do you have to cross to actually get to the gates to get into the stadium? You are near major highways by the stadium, so to improve the pedestrian walkways and some major issues that we face day in and day out for game days need to be improved. So a lot of conversations are being had with the city on a major renovation to Cleveland Browns Stadium. But ownership is looking at all options. And you know, the land that they are looking at in Brook Park, they are looking at it, but no decisions have been made at this point. There's still a lot more conversations to be had, still have several years left on a lease, but one thing is for certain, this team is not leaving this area. This team is not leaving Northeast Ohio. So that has come out in the media. That is certainly a conversation that we have to deal with as well. The other priority for us for 2024, non-game events. We've announced 2 major concerts that are coming to Cleveland Browns Stadium. The Rolling Stones, they're coming in June, and Billy Joel and Rod Stewart are performing together in September at Cleveland Browns Stadium. It is important for us on the business side, it's important for the city that we populate that stadium more than just 10 to 12 games per year. So where we can bring major concerts, major events, it's certainly a priority for the organization to look at. So we've announced those 2. Hopefully we are not done announcing different events. Obviously you have to work around the football schedule and the weather conditions, which can be challenging at times, but it's a priority to bring non-game events. So more to come there. Those are just a few of the things that we are working on. This is above and beyond kind of business as usual for us. So a lot of things going on, but I truly feel there is no better time to be part of the Cleveland Browns organization with all of this on the horizon, as well as being a Browns fan for all the football stuff that I had mentioned earlier. For me personally, it has been just about 8 months since I joined the organization. I joined back in July. My role is Senior Vice President of Corporate Partnerships and Suites, and Mike kind of touched on it. Between the 2 groups, we have over 130 corporate partners. Every single partnership that we have is unique. No 2 partnerships are the same, and Bridget will get into some more activations and things, because we're always looking at our partnerships on how can we create memorable fan experiences with our partners. So I have 130 of them. We have over 100 suite holders. So we are actively building relationships with 200 plus businesses, partners on a daily basis. So for us, we're always selling, we're always activating year round. The NFL has done a tremendous job of making it themselves relevant 12 months out of the year. If you turned on ESPN over the weekend, you saw the Combine. We actually had partners and some customers attend the Combine with us over the weekend, kind of give them some experiences that go beyond just game days. So for us, there really is no downtime. We are constantly busy, constantly activating with a group of partners that are truly supportive, truly loyal to this organization, and really see the bright future ahead. Proud to say we had a record year on the business side from what we were able to bring in from a revenue standpoint and from just new partners. Again, Bridget will touch on it a little bit more, but really strong year, and it's only going to continue to increase as we get into this upcoming year. I'm going to finish, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bridget to say it's truly an honor to work for the Cleveland Browns. It's truly an honor to work for the Haslems. They are wonderful people. The family is amazing. And what's even more special, when I started in 1999, there are about a dozen employees that are still there. You talk about Bridget celebrating her 20 years. There's some that have been here even a little bit longer than Bridget, which is so incredibly rare in sports. I kind of had to go around to kind of end up where I wanted to return. So to have that longevity, I think, speaks to the passion that the staff has for the Browns, but also speaks to the tremendous loyalty that the ownership has. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bridget. I do want to give one last shout out to my family that is here. I touched on it last year. Working in sports is not easy. It is 7 days a week. It is holidays. You have to sacrifice a lot. And for me personally, I would not be standing up here today if it wasn't for that guy right there and my family that is sitting out there. And my mom, who I know, she was here last year. Unfortunately, she's not here this year. I know she's watching from heaven and is extremely proud of her family. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bridget, who's going to get into a little more details on the partnership side. But thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Erica. Talk about a tough act to follow. She's incredible, isn't she? But I do want to take a moment just to thank you all for having me back. It's been a few years since I've been here. When Erica asked me to team up with her today, I jumped at the opportunity. So I just want to thank Frank, Mike, RJ, all of the club members. Really appreciate it. It is an honor to be here. I'm from Northeast Ohio, as Mike mentioned, and this has just been my life and my career has been sports, and specifically the NFL. So thank you for the opportunity. What Erica also, I know she did not mention, we actually worked a little bit together at the Browns back in 2004. So I started with the team in 2004, and we had maybe 3 or 4 months together. So for her to come back to the Cleveland Browns, when I heard that, I think I squealed, honestly. I was so excited to hear that she was coming back to the team, and so it is an honor to be here with her today. I'm going to get into a few examples, as Erica alluded to, of just how much fun we have on the business side. We are our priority is making sure our corporate partners see a return on their investment. Along the way, we have a lot of fun with that. And one question I get asked often, especially from young professionals or students who are looking to get into the sports industry, is, what has kept you there for so long? Not just in sports, but at the Cleveland Browns in particular. And I always seem to gravitate towards the notion of creativity. We have the ability to be so creative and bring along a corporate partner to the fan experience. And we have corporate partners, as we mentioned, about 130 of them, but they span so many different industries and categories. You've got your auto groups, you've got insurance companies, you have your Anheuser-Busch's, your Gatorades. All of them have different objectives, and they want to accomplish something different with their partnership. And as Erica mentioned, not a single one of them is alike. So as brands are starting to think about where do they want to invest their marketing dollars, we are that differentiator, because there are so many options for a brand to invest their money to talk about their brand and to market their brand. They can go and buy television spots, radio spots. They can do a mailer across the state. They can hire a social media influencer. There's so many different ways people can market their brand. We offer something that I think is the biggest differentiator. We have an audience that cares so much about the brand. I'm not just talking about the Cleveland Browns. We're very fortunate with our fan base. But in professional sports in general, people gravitate towards their sports team 7 days a week because they care so much about it, and there's that loyalty factor with that audience. So when you're a brand and you invest with a team, you're investing in something very special. And that's where the fun comes with us. I always talk about partnerships are like a marriage. You have to communicate often. You have to pivot or compromise when you need to. But at the end of the day, you're asking the question, what's going to make you happy? What's success for you? How are you going to, at the end of the year, reflect back and say, man, that was an amazing year, and I'm so happy that, in this instance, I invested my dollars into the Cleveland Browns. So we have to listen. And we also, as I mentioned, we get to be very, not just creative, but we get to engage with so many different departments within our organization. We cannot do our job without almost every single other person and department within the Cleveland Browns. We have to have a great relationship with our marketing team, our public relations team, community relations. Even on the football side, we do a lot of player programs and alumni programs. We have to have really great relationships internally to understand what those departments are looking to accomplish as well. So I thought I'd just take the next kind of half of my time up here and explain a couple examples of partnerships that we've had the privilege of activating over the past year. The first one, has anybody heard of the brand Dude Wipes? And if you haven't, take a moment to just guess what that means, and you're probably right. Dude Wipes, it's a personal hygiene flushable wipe company. They were a small company. They were on Shark Tank, one of those emerging brands, right? Not a lot of people knew about them. A lot of you probably didn't know their brand. But they came to the Cleveland Browns as one of the first opportunities to engage with the sports team. And they said, listen, we don't know where we want to place our dollars, but these are our objectives. We want national awareness. We want to go viral with some really cool, unique activations, and we need trial. We need people to actually use our brand and understand what it is. And so we came to the table with our marketing department, our public relations department. We vetted it through leadership, making sure that we were okay associating, with that brand. And we came up with a lot of different unique ideas, and I'll tell you, the brainstorm session was hysterical. But at the end of the day, we came back with what we thought was the best association. And if you recall last year, we had a whole whiteout series of our uniform. We were in our white jerseys, white pants, white helmets for 3 games. 2 home games and 1 away game. And we thought that was a great association to kind of introduce the Dude Wipes brand. It was a clean, fresh look, right? But it paid a little bit homage to our history. But with that, we had a really fun, unique announcement in July that generated over 6 million impressions. Between the 3 games where we wore our entire white uniform, there was a lot of promotion and hype leading into those games. All of that generated over 31 million impressions with Dude Wipes associated with it. During the Jets Thursday night football game, if you were there, you probably saw it, both pregame and halftime, we did a whiteout show. Because it was the evening, we were able to use an application on our phones, and we encouraged our fan base to download an app to be able to participate with this whiteout, which looked amazing throughout the stadium, and it had one of the best engagements on that app, that platform, that the company's ever seen. That game as well, we had a jersey swap. So we encouraged Browns fans to bring in an old quarterback's jersey, any quarterback. The first 100 to do that, they received a new white jersey of one of our 4 current players. That generated 8 different TV stations across the region to pick up that story, 4 different radio hits, and 10 different national articles written about it. Exactly what the Dude Wipes brand wanted. They wanted that, the association nationally. And then at the end of the season, what we do is we survey our fans. And one of the questions is, who is a partner of the Cleveland Browns? And we have, as we mentioned, over 130. Dude Wipes, in their very first year, they were ranked 5th as a partner of the Cleveland Browns, meaning our fans within the first year had them at number 5. Most of our fans recognized them because, again, the association with the Whiteout Series was an exciting time for the team, for the fans, and we brought along a partner. And they are so happy right now. We're talking about what's next. What can we do differently and next in 2024 and 2025? So that's one example. The other example is we have great partnerships with Sugardale and Bud Light. Really great partnerships, and the beauty about those two is every year we sit down with them and we really try to think about, okay, what are we going to do new and different in 2024? And the first thing we always ask, or what are your objectives? What are you trying to accomplish this year? Last year, Sugardale said, we've got the hot dog market. We want to push bacon. We want to push our bacon product. Whatever you guys can do to help us push bacon, we're open to all ideas. Then you have Bud Light. Everybody knows Bud Light. They're very active, especially on game day. But they're always like, bring us new and unique ideas. And we're also very interested in associating with some of your other partners. So we all came to the table and we decided, let's do something that we've never done before, and I personally have never heard of before across any other league, is why don't we bring 2 partners together for a co-sponsorship of a game, of a home game. We had our game against the Pittsburgh Steelers open. We did not have a corporate partner on it. Why don't we do the Browns versus Steelers home game presented by Bacon and Beer? 2 great things on game day, bacon and beer. And we brought that concept to both brands and they loved it. And we didn't do just your traditional home game presenting partnership where they do receive a lot of logo placement, radio spots, all of that. They do receive a lot around that game, but let's do things differently. So we have an area outside of our stadium called Dog Pound Drive. It is our tailgate, for lack of a better term, for our fans. Typically, we don't sell alcohol. It's more or less a family-friendly area, and there's permitting that you need to actually sell alcohol. But we said, listen, it's the Steelers game, it's bacon and beer, let's do something fun and different. And we transformed Dog Pound Drive into Bacon Boulevard. And we sold bacon-wrapped hot dogs. And we worked with the city to get a permit for that game in particular to sell beer in a Bud Light kind of beer garden area. When you walked inside the stadium, we had a lot of different bacon-type items that you can purchase. Over 2,500 unique bacon items were sold at the game inside. Outside, we sold over 1,300 beers. We sold out of the bacon-wrapped hot dogs. We just introduced, their product in a fun, unique way. And they took it even further than game day and teamed up to do a retail rebate program, where if you purchase a 12-pack of Bud Light and a Sugardale packet of bacon, you receive $5 off if you send in, that rebate. So they're actually still in communication. We brought 2 partners together, and that was such a successful partnership for us and a unique activation. We ended up actually being one of 6 finalists, most recently at the National Sports Forum, for a Sammy Award. So that's basically an advertising and marketing award. So one of our team members was able to present that just last week. Erica touched on the barking backers. What's really cool about the barking backers, we have been talking about this for years, but when we found out the stat of we have more fans who own dogs than have children, we thought we have to do something about that from a fan affinity perspective, an affinity program. So, here came along Barking Backers, and we didn't want just any partner on Barking Backers. We wanted the right partner, and so we did engage with Smucker's, and we know they have a lot of pet brands, but Milk-Bone was just that national brand that seemed, as the right association. And we don't just have a program where you sign up your dog. You can get a kit. We have a variety of different events for dogs. We have a Halloween event for dogs. We had an event around Christmas one year where your dog could sit on Santa's lap. I mean, we do a lot of fun, unique things for people who have dogs. And as Erica mentioned, over 20,000 have signed up in 2 years. We have Barking Backer members in every single state and across the globe in different countries. Our first year goal was to reach 6,000 dogs. We reached 12,000. So we doubled our goal. And Milk-Bone, as you can imagine, is ecstatic. They're so happy with this program. And again, because you reach successes, it's like, what's next? So we're currently in the process of understanding, all right, what's next for 2024 with this program? And then the last thing I'll mention, I've talked a lot about B2C opportunities. So very consumer-facing, opportunities and activations for our brands. We have a lot of brands that are more on the B2B side. They want to engage with other Browns partners on the commercial end. And we had one of our partners this year who, because we brought different experiences to them that they can then give to their clients, they saw a 6-figure sales growth in just 2023 and attribute it just to the Cleveland Browns partnership. And so we're very proud of, as I mentioned earlier, any industry, any brand, we come to the table with ideas, and that's the fun part about my job, is that we can come to the table with ideas, and there isn't a menu of assets that they necessarily can pick from. We get to actually create things that are new and that deliver an ROI for these brands. So I hope you feel the passion that I have and the love I have for what I do. And I hope it gives you a glimpse of, off the field, some of the fun that we have and the way that we generate revenue for the team, but also we do that through the lens of making sure that we deliver a fan experience that is best in class. I'll leave with, that is something that my team knows from me, is look at every single activation as this is going to be potentially award-winning. We have won 2 out of the last 3 years an Activation of the Year award across all 32 clubs because of the work that we've done with our corporate partners. And we're preparing right now a nomination for the Dude Wipes activation for 2024. But that's the way we look at our partnerships. Never to be stale and always to be fun and engaging. All right, well with that, thank you again. We'll take questions. I know Erica and I'm happy to take some questions.
question. Out of, you said 130 sponsors, how many are national and how many are local? Do you have a breakout? And
Numerically,
some of the local ones, who are they?
sure. I will say the majority are probably local and regional. We do have very many national brands. I would say of the 130, we probably have 20 to 30 are probably our national brands. Some of the local ones, Oswald, Sugardale, as I mentioned, we work with Key Bank. They're our banking partner. Medical Mutual of Ohio is our health insurance partner. University Hospitals, our healthcare partner. I'm missing a lot more, obviously, too. But we work with a lot of the local and regional brands who want either the local reach, or many of them, they want to own the state of Ohio. You know, we hear that a lot. We want to own the state of Ohio. And so we do everything that we can. We work with our Browns backer clubs, our Browns backer members, to create these unique activations.
Sherwin-Williams is another. They're our
Yes.
longest partner. They're obviously headquartered in Cleveland. They're a national brand, but they are somebody who has been with the Browns the longest.
You guys are wonderful. The Browns are lucky to have you. I think you're both great. Long-suffering Cleveland Browns season ticket holder here. I wanted to comment that it was a great one home, 8 games last year, a win. That, doesn't happen for the Browns, so that was wonderful. Tell them to keep that part of it up. Another comment, you say your naming rights. Well, you just mentioned Sherwin-Williams. I mean, you've got a world-class company based in Cleveland. I think they'd be the optimal candidate for that field. But my question is, are we going to open the season in Brazil?
That is a great question. We would like to know that as well. I think it's come out. We're on the short list. We're one of some other teams that may be in the running. We honestly don't know. We are waiting to get direction from the league. Unless Bridget, you've heard.
No, it's, we're hopefully gonna hear soon. So, I mean, there's a lot of planning that obviously needs to happen, more so on the football side, if that is the case. So, we're hoping that we do get at least a hint before the schedule is released, so they can get a head start, if that's the case.
And if it is, so everyone knows, that's a Friday game that the league is coming out with after Labor Day. So it's an interesting day of the week that Brazil game will take place, but we don't know. We're anxiously awaiting too.
With the leagues going to all these streaming, like Prime, are there going to be other streaming TVs coming in, and do you guys work with that too?
The question was related to streaming and how the league is kind of expanding where it's showing games. It actually is all directed from the league. What we control is more the preseason games, but the league controls all of the broadcast games during the regular season at the league level. They will come back and say where it's airing and what, based on just kind of what the TV rights, what they work through. All the TV, which is different from some of the other sports that have regional networks and things like that, all of that is controlled at the league level. So we kind of learn at the same time that you all do as to where the games will be shown and such during the regular season.
Okay.
Erica, are the Browns going to do any special promotion for the exhibit that the Hall of Fame will be starting on March 16th?
We know our marketing team is aware of that, and I'm sure they're going to help support it. We don't know any of the specifics, at least at this point, but I know, and Bridget, you may have more information, but I know our marketing team is looking into it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Good afternoon. I have a question. I don't know if it's going to fall on deaf ears. I can take it back to Maria. When you have somebody that sends multiple letters, emails, and there's no response, are they just too busy or they don't care?
Who are you sending the letters to?
Well, some of the players, they go, Barry, the coach they had last year that no longer there. So, are my expectations too high? You're too busy?
Honestly, I'm not sure who would receive the mail on the football side to know that. I mean, we can certainly take that feedback back. Is there something specific you're looking to get answered, or is it just general commentary that you're providing?
Specific things they overlooked. Didn't bother to get back.
Are you by chance a season ticket member? Are you by chance a season ticket member?
No.
Okay, the reason I ask is that every season ticket member has a Browns rep that they can also reach out to. But if it's something that we can take back, happy to. Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, the first meeting I ever came to here was in 1990, and Doak Walker and Bobby Lane were the speakers. Now, only this country's got two young ladies to be up there. It was a great honor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Was there a challenge with Bud Light, with their negative advertising? Was there a challenge for you?
No, that's a really great question. At the time, in the beginning, you know, we were great partners as all of their club partners, and reached out to them and say, what can we do to help? And we worked with them, and we were very strategic about how to best, you know, incorporate their brand at the very beginning. And they had some strategies that they wanted in place, especially with their NFL deals. But when we engaged with Sugardale on this, everybody was on board. And to be honest with you, our fan base was great, and did not provide negative feedback to the extent that I think nationally there may have been. So, and that speaks to, I think, to be honest with you, the brand loyalty. Anheuser-Busch has been a partner for such a long time, and we've been able to provide so many great experiences with that brand to our fan base, that I think our fans saw that if the Browns are behind them, so are we.
You talked about the ownership of the Haslam. Excuse me, do your jobs get involved in Columbus and other places?
We do communicate frequently with our counterparts at the Columbus Crew and the Milwaukee Bucks, more just sharing best practices and processes. You know, different sports, different leagues, so certainly I think we can all learn from each other. So we are starting, I would say, to engage in more active conversations. Our direct responsibilities, though, are specific to the Cleveland Browns, but we're all one family, as we like to look at it, so where we can share ideas with each other, we're certainly going to do that.
And part of the 130 or not?
They're not part of the 32. They are separate. Yeah. But it's a great question, and certainly we look at it as we're all part of the Haslam family. How can we help each other?
So what would you say is the correlation or connection between the success of the team on the field and the number of people that are coming to you saying, hey, we'd like to market our brand? And also, how about the pay structure? As the team's more successful, will that change the pay structure?
I will say I would speak to the success on the business side. For many years, candidly, the football team did not have success, and Bridget and her team continued to build these strong partnerships. I think it starts with relationships and the value proposition that Bridget and her team and the business side were delivering to these corporate partners. The fan base of the Browns, I would put it up against any fan base, not only in the National Football League, but in any sport. When you have that loyalty of the fan base, that certainly helps the business side, regardless of what's happening with the football team. Now, I say all that, winning on the football side definitely helps us on the business side as well. But we will treat our partners the same if we hadn't won a game as if we won the Super Bowl. It's all about relationship building and creating that value for our partners, regardless of what happens on the field. From a pay standpoint, I mean, certainly we evaluate our assets based on impressions and things like that. We have a whole business analytics department that we work closely with, but I think Bridget mentioned we work with every department. Business analytics is one that we work very, very closely with to make sure whatever we are charging is justified and is right. Does that dynamic change with winning? Maybe. We'll defer to kind of the statistical experts on that to help figure out kind of what is the value we should be, charging for our partners. I don't know, Bridget, if you want to say anything else.
The only thing I would add is, because it is a fair question, when we go out to corporations, we don't lead necessarily with success on the field. We lead with what we can do from a business perspective. If 0-16 and 1-15 taught us anything, it was how you need to communicate the impact that you actually have off the field on the business side. Because those 2 years, although very difficult, right, on the field, we had many successes off of the field. And it's a matter of us communicating that and leading with the fact that no matter what happens on the field, we can't affect that. Erica and I cannot affect that. As much as I want to suit up sometimes and go out there, we cannot affect it. But what we can do is communicate how strong our fan base is. We talk about business analytics. We know a lot about our fan base. When I started, we had no business analytics department. If anything, our IT department just held data from some sweepstakes. Over the years, we now have a BA team that's, I think, 10 plus. And it's something that we lean on every single day, is how do we tell that best business story? Because it's there, and that's what we lead with. It does help when we win, though.
We have time for one more question.
No more.
Thank you.